And welcome back. And we are now at part 2 of this week's new comics, bitches! So, let's get back to it. Okay, so The Defenders, number 2. From the opening of this issue, and also from last issue, basically Matt Fraction asserts that he is the guy to write for this team. This is a great issue of comics here. It's really excellent. There's some really weird shit going on here that's definitely in Fraction's wheelhouse. I mean, because we have this, this Prester John character, who basically, he wants Null to destroy this world so he can bring his idea of the new Avalon to another world. Because he feels abandoned by God, so on and so forth. In another universe, there's got to be another God. So that's where he plans on going once Null has destroyed this world. And that's ultimately what the Defenders are trying to stop him from doing. So, the chemistry of this team is pitch perfect. And Fraction's writing of the characters of this team is spot on. I mean, obviously he has a very, one character that I love that he's doing is Iron Fist. I've always enjoyed, from when Brubaker and Fraction were doing, when they were doing the Immortal Iron Fist, that was some really good comic book stuff right there. And this stuff it's just as good. Fuck. Again. Anyway, but and what the hell did Doctor Strange say to Betty Ross? I would love to find that. I know we're never going to, but I would love to find that out, because whatever it was, obviously, if you've read the issue, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it really spooked the living shit out of her. Basically said, okay, this guy needs to stay away from me because he's just fucking wacko. Or he's just, maybe too personal or whatever. He's just too scary. He's just too weird. He's too strange. Hence the name. But, you got the Dodsons, Terry and Rachel bringing home the art, as always. It's just terrific. And, and I'm loving those throwback footnotes that are at the bottom of, so many of the pages. It's just, and all these ideas, these really high concept ideas, the concordance engine and everything like that, but just having, like I said, the chemistry, this, the scene when they're in the little cell, all of them, and, you have Doctor Strange, and you have Namor being really pissed off at Doctor Strange, and, you have an idea of, you have an idea of all of their different separate powers, and, this is, I think this may very well be, because I used to be a really big fan of Matt Fraction, and then as he got more involved with some of the other stuff out there, especially with Fear Itself, I think that he just went, he kind of went like Grant Morrison crazy, but in a more down to earth way, if that makes sense, and it just, that stuff didn't feel right to me. But this is more of the Matt Fraction that I remember and love. So, I'm so grateful that he's doing a project like this, because this is really something that he deserves to have his name on, and his name being on it is just, it's magnificent. It's terrific work. So this is a 4.5 out of 5. Easy for this issue. On to another really excellent issue this week. There was, like I said, a lot of really good stuff. HELLRAISER number 9. Now this, basically this is the beginning of a new arc. Thankfully Clive is still on this book, along with his co-writer, and I can never remember that dude's name. It's a really well-written comic. My only complaint about this particular issue is it seems short, but there's some really great art to digest in this issue. And a couple different artists, too, on this issue. Some for a couple pages and some for others. But basically we have Pinhead is human once again. He's no longer a Cenobite because he has basically traded his power with that of Kirsty Cotton, as we saw in the finale of the last arc. Basically, he's giving her the power to go to hell. And she wants to rearrange the structure from within. And, you know, as fascinating of an idea as that is, it's more fascinating right now to see Pinhead as Captain Elliot Bradley once again, or no, Elliot Spencer, excuse me. It's Doug Bradley that plays Pinhead. But to see him as Captain Elliot Spencer, someone who's been out of touch with the world and obviously still has a taste for the flesh, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, not, not that kind of taste, but, the taste. Yeah, baby. But, so we've got another familiar Barker name, another familiar character of his is dropped in this issue. Unfortunately, the character himself is not there, and that's the character of Harry D'Amour, who is, he's involved in some of Barker's best work, in my opinion, his very best work, Everville, as well as The Great and Secret Show, which is another one of his great works, and of course, The Last Illusion, which was made into a horrible film, which was the Lord of Illusions, which was a terrible film. Anyway, but, basically, the group, they're trying to hunt down more of Le Marchand's creations, because once one of them is destroyed, the energy is just transferred. So, acting on a basic law of physics there. So, they're just tracking it down. And, Pinhead, he wants to ascend to heaven once again, because he's been in hell too long. But in this book, we are treated to a splash page that is arguably one of the most disturbing things that you'll see in comics this whole year. And it's pure Barker gold. I mean, it is right up Barker's alley. I mean, it's something that you would have loved to have seen in one of the Hellraiser films, but it's too graphic. So putting it in comic form, where, you got some areas covering up the kind of naughty bits that are going on here, but it's this intense, horrific depiction of, this kind of horrific sexuality. And that's something that Barker does really, 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 really well. And, like I said, it's a little sharp, but, there's a little short, but there's some beautiful art to go along with it. So this, again, another 4.5 out of 5. Easy. There's some terrific, great stuff here. Where to go from here? Let's talk about, since we're kind of doing some more independent stuff, let's go to Rachel Rising, number 4. Now, this is a series that I'm not too terribly into Terry Moore's stuff. I've never read Strangers in Paradise. I read some of the stuff that he did for Runaways, but wasn't really a huge fan of that. But this book I am a big fan of, and it's because he's created this kind of oddball yet actually supremely disturbing murder mystery here. And of course, the mystery is who killed Rachel and why. So everything here, it's a huge question mark, and that would normally be very upsetting to me. I don't like it when everything seems to be in question. I like it when, okay, well, here's a little bit of an answer, but here's another question. It keeps forward momentum going, narratively. But with Terry Moore doing this, he handles the dialogue and the art with a lot of skill and a lot of creativity and a lot of verve. So, I mean, it's just terrific stuff to read and to look at. I'm not sure that I fully understand motives here for what's going on, especially with this little girl and this mysterious woman. But I am more than willing to go along for the ride on this. This is 4 out of 5. Again, no question. Some really interesting stuff going on here. Again, there's a little frustration with not knowing a whole lot of what's going on, but it's better to have it with someone who is of the artistic merit that Terry Moore is. I realize that I'm not very familiar with his work, but I do understand that he is a very recognizable name within the medium, and someone this smart who's gotten all the accolades that he has got to be onto something here. So, back to more mainstream stuff. Batwing, number 5. So we got Batwing and Batman team up as Massacre ups the ante here again. And that's another thing I'm liking about this book a lot, is that there's a lot of forward momentum going on here. That there's always a new story to tell. And the last issue was my book of the week, and I never thought it would be. Judd Winnick seems to really be going above and beyond what I would normally consider to be his kind of, very kind of standard, kind of just very, kind of par, he's basically shooting for par and not trying to knock one out of the park. But with Batwing, he is really trying to do that. The one thing that aside from, like Winnick's terrific writing in this series and Ben Oliver's really great art, I'm a little concerned about the success of certain New 52 titles. And this is something that I would like to look into more. I was trying to look it up online today, but I just really couldn't get a whole lot of information. Now, I know that my buddy Ian, you know him as Comic Noob, and I hope that you're watching this, Ian, that you're this is a little bit more in your wheelhouse. You did do that one segment about, the kind of, some of the sales figures. And I'm hoping that you can help me out on this one, because I'd like to see where, some of what I was looking at, and I went to, I don't even remember what the hell the site was called, but it was giving a breakdown of like the best-selling titles in November, and I didn't really get a whole lot out of that, because it seemed to be showing a lot of stuff that was still, or things that were not. I don't know what the best word to define it is. Stuff that was older was still ranking really high on the sales chart. So I wanted to see something that was more of a breakdown of just titles that were released within that month. So that's kind of what I was hoping for in researching this. Shut up. And sorry, it's the iPhone. But titles like this, what I was looking at, titles like this and Men of War, which also came out this week that I'm going to talk about probably in our next segment, and titles like I, Vampire, these are titles that I really, really, really like. They don't seem to be doing very well. Now, I, Vampire, obviously they're going to, we just had John Constantine, the most recent issue. He's going to, Andrew Bennett and his group, they're going to Gotham City in the next issue. So having, again, I don't know if Batman is kind of becoming DC's Wolverine. It's like you put him in a comic and automatically you get more readers. I'm hoping that's not just a sales gimmick, and actually it seems pertinent to the plot, obviously, in this book. And it looks very much like that in a book like in I, Vampire. But I don't want these books to go away because of poor sales figures. Because these are strong books. They're much stronger than crap like Suicide Squad, or even crap like Justice League, which is a huge seller, and Green Lantern, which is another really big seller. These are books that I don't understand why. I understand, but I don't understand, because I don't like them, so therefore I think that nobody should like them. Only because they're told in such a rudimentary way. So anyway, so that was 4 out of 5 for Batwing number 5. I know I didn't get a whole lot into it, but that's okay. Anyway, stick around. We've got more to talk about, so stay tuned.